So, boxing fans, we've been thrown a bit of a curveball here. Canelo Alvarez will be taking on Jermell Charlo on September the 30th. A little bit of a strange one. It was being spoken about that Canelo would fight a Charlo. Most people, including myself, just assumed it'd be Jermall because he's at middleweight, slightly closer to super middleweight where Canelo campaigns. And I saw this announcement first on IFL's community page when they uploaded the poster for the fight, and I was thinking, why is this being marketed as undisputed versus undisputed? Jermall hasn't ever been undisputed before. And then it clicked in my head, hold on, he's fighting Jermell. And then I was like, wait, why? Why is he stepping in when it was the talks about Jermall? And it turns out Jermall is going through some personal issues. I haven't seen many details. That's just the only statement I see is personal issues, which it's fair enough. Fighters are human beings, and human beings have issues and rough patches in life sometimes. I get it, but firstly, they really should strip Jermell Charlo by now. And this is nothing personal. I actually quite like the Charlo brothers from an entertainment perspective. I quite like them as fighters. I enjoy watching them. But rules are rules. If you're not going to defend your title, you should be stripped of it, regardless of what the reasons are. I know WBC has made up things like emeritus in the past and stuff like that. Just do that. But keep the belt active, otherwise it just freezes it up, and us as fans, we miss out. Other fighters who deserve a shot at titles and whatnot, they miss out. Just got to keep boxing moving. But for all intents and purposes, Jermall has been sidelined. He is on the bench, as he has been for the past 2 years. And Jermell steps in, and he's going to have a crack at super middleweight glory. Yeah, as I say, it's a little bit strange, but I see it as acceptable. However, a lot of that is going to be contingent on what Canelo does next, in my opinion. As I say, I want to see Canelo take on David Benavidez. The Dimitri Bivol rematch, I don't really care for personally. It's admirable, I guess, that Canelo wants to right that wrong, but I see that as being, from an entertainment perspective, I see that as being more of the same. Canelo being soundly beaten by the bigger, more capable man who's also much fresher. David Benavidez, on the other hand, yeah, he's bigger, but he's still got a bit more to prove. And he's kind of seen as the up and comer, the next top dog at super middleweight, maybe. I know some people don't really rate Benavidez. Personally, I think he's got a good shot of beating Canelo. And I'm intrigued to see if Canelo can defend his belts at super middleweight against a guy like David Benavidez. But I imagine, I don't know this for sure, but I imagine that is somewhere in this 3-fight deal that he's done with PBC. And this Charlo fight is, some people would say, a cherry pick. I'd say, if I'm being diplomatic, it's probably to kind of set the table. Canelo's big break on PBC, maybe. I don't know. But that being said, I can kind of understand why people would call it cherry pick. I know some people take this fight, fair enough. It really comes down to what you like, if you want to quote Adam Smith. Jermell Charlo, stepping up 2 weight divisions. I guess you could say he's conquered light middleweight. Some people may point out a fighter who could take on Jermell at light middleweight and take his belts. Yeah, maybe, but for all intents and purposes, he became undisputed champion, reached the pinnacle of that division, skipping middleweight, going to super middleweight, and he's going to try his hand at taking on Canelo. It's admirable. I give him credit, and if he can pull it off, even more credit to him, because Canelo Alvarez, he is a difficult fighter to beat. Let's be real. And I know some people they're going to point to controversies in Canelo's career. Of course, I receive that. Canelo, no stranger to getting favourable treatment, which, if anything, it just kind of adds to the difficulty of beating him. So if you're able to do it and get the nods, like, fair play, you've done a good thing. You've done a big thing. And Jermell, can he do that? Maybe. I wouldn't bet on it personally. I think Canelo, even though I see him as being on the other end of the other side of his prime, I think Canelo is going to be somewhat on the decline now. I think we've seen the best of him. I still think he's got more than enough to beat Jermell Charlo. And don't get me wrong, Jermell Charlo is a fighter I like. I find him very entertaining. But he does have limitations, as does Canelo. But I just think I don't know if Jermell can do enough to kind of offset what Canelo does well. Both Charlos are very talented, very athletic, got good technique, but can be a little bit rough around the edges. I think their personality tends or can get them in a bit of trouble sometimes. They're very fiery characters and they like to kind of get stuck in, maybe come unstuck in that sense. But I just think Canelo, very experienced, is used to being the smaller man when you think about it, even though he might not be the smaller man in weight wise. He is used to being shorter. He's used to having a shorter reach. So he's kind of had to build his arsenal of skills around that. And I think he does do a lot well, Canelo. He knows how to deal with movers. He knows how to deal with guys who are slick, who move well, who can try and keep him on the end of the jab. Canelo's got a lot of tools in his arsenal. And so, Jermell Charlo, he could probably cause a few issues for Canelo, but I imagine Canelo gets a victory. I want to say I'm leaning 70-30, 65-35 in favour of Canelo, something like that. And this will be Canelo's first fight on PBC. Is there anything else I want to touch on with this fight? The activity as well. Canelo, to his credit, has been very active for quite a few years now, actually. Canelo seems to fight at least twice a year, which someone who is an undisputed champion and has fought at different weight classes, super middleweight, light heavyweight, he's been very active. I know 2019 he fought twice, 2020 once, but we know why. 2021 fought 3 times, and then 2022 fought twice. And this is always against good, high-quality opposition. Maybe minus Avni Yildirim, no disrespect, but for the most part, it's against some very good opposition. So he's staying sharp. You could even make the argument, I know I've explored this idea, that maybe Canelo is keeping that momentum, but it's a lot of wear and tear on his body. But maybe that's inevitable. I don't know. I guess time will tell. One thing I also noticed here is obviously Jermell, not really that active. Only fought once in 2022, which was over a year ago. He fought Brian Castaño, the rematch. Before that was the first fight with Castaño, which was in July 2021. So not really active. Plus the level of opposition is not as high. But Jermell Charlo turned pro in 2007. That is crazy. I think of Jermell Charlo, I'm thinking probably turned pro in 2010, 2011. But no, 2007. So this guy's been pro for 16 years? Crazy. But all that aside, credit and admiration to Jermell for taking this fight and taking a gamble. But I do see Canelo winning. Jermell winning would surprise me a little bit. It would surprise me a little bit, I've got to be honest. But hey, little while to wait for this one. I think just under 3 months, because the fight's happening at the end of September, the 30th, as I said. So still plenty of time to speculate and get our predictions in and our breakdowns, all that kind of stuff. Early predictions, early thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. These have been my thoughts. Let me know what you think. And I'll get back to you. But for now, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next video.